Okay, this is really exciting. Somehow I've been let behind the counter here at Simucube, and I've been welcomed to the world of Simucube by picking up this leaflet. And I'm basically going to go through all of the products that Simucube, I think, have for sale on the market, let you know what I think about them, compare them to other products, understand what's unique about them. So we're going to start off here with the Simucube Active Pedal Pro. So this is one of Simucube's active pedals, but generally the only place you can get active pedals on the market right now is Simucube. What are active pedals? They are not potentiometer pedals where you have like a spring and it measures your travel distance. They're not just load cells. They also have this motorized element where you have full adjustability, and you also have these effects, feels like a cheap word, but you have sort of like ABS, TC, G-force can be felt through the pedal. So this pedal plate moves, and it's really interesting to see kind of how different drivers have their travel, you know, like 15 millimeters travel, or like 30 millimeters travel as a load, or like 7 millimeter travel is nothing. So you can really customize your braking feel. Now these are the Pro Simucube active pedals, which are a little bit cheaper. They're still very expensive, but they're a little bit cheaper. I think they go up to about maybe 110 kg on the load cell, but we'll confirm that. There'll be something on screen. And this is the base plate that I think is separate, but you can see here bundled together. I really like the base plate. The base plate is super nice. These are obviously quite long pedals, and so having the base plate with that rigidity I think is really important. There are also holes, slots down the side for you to screw straight onto as well, but the base plate is nice. This is a pretty revolutionary product. Nothing else like it on the market at the moment. Very expensive. Go check out some reviews of it. Try and understand at least what active pedals are, so you know the generations of pedals, and then you can make your mind up where you want to buy. But really cool to see these. Very a lot of innovation by Simucube there. Let's go over to a wheelbase. So this is a Simucube Pro 2 wheelbase, Simucube 2 Pro wheelbase. You see a lot of these at expos and places like that. It is an iconic, I think, wheelbase. So it's got 25 Newton meters of torque. I say a lot of the time you're going to see it kind of run at levels less than that. And a lot of the excitement about this wheelbase is about how refined it is, and that comes from the software. So increasingly in sim racing, it's not just about having big numbers in terms of your hardware, it's how does the software work with that? What kind of effects can you get? How refined is it going to be? And it's got also, I believe, the Simucube wireless technology as well, I suspect, which means that you can have your wireless wheelbases as a thing that plugs into the back of it. I'm always surprised by how compact of a unit it is. It's a really compact unit. 25 Newton meters. I personally never run anything that high without turning it down. And I think most people will be the same. In fact, let us know in the comments what Newton meter you're running your wheelbase at. But the fact you've got 25 means if you turn it down, you've still got that headroom, and also it's not going to be stressing as much. Now we're going to go into actual wheels here. And you can see here the name of the wheel, which I can't see. So I'm just going to let you know my thoughts on this circular wheel. I'm not often I don't often use circular wheels, but I have to say here, what I really like is these really, really, really nice magnetic shifters in the back, which is awesome. The colouring is also quite nice. The button placement, I can just see, has been thought of to be close to your thumb reach. What you don't want to often see is a lot of buttons in the middle that you're not going to be able to reach. So here you can see these are going to be in thumb reach. It's quite a minimalistic wheel, I would say. I don't actually know what the price is. It's it comes in a 330 or a 320 millimeters, so quite wide. If you're someone that likes your circular rims, then an interesting one. It's quite heavy as well, so it's got that heft to it, which is interesting when you have inertia. Sometimes I feel like in road cars, you want to have a heaviness to it, whereas when you're driving an F1 car with like an F1 style rim, you don't. So maybe weight is less of an issue when it comes to a circular rim. But interesting to see that with this very nice leather that has a little bit of softness to it. I don't know whether it's real leather or fake leather, but you can see. But I'm going to go over to the next one, where you have the full name here, and this has this, I don't know whether it's officially Alcantara, but it has that Alcantara finish. Again, worth knowing, if you have Alcantara, you should really be wearing gloves, because the natural oils in your hands will break down the Alcantara after time. So if you already wear gloves, that's not a problem, that's fine. If you don't wear gloves, be aware of that before you buy an Alcantara wheel. Something that's interesting here, feels a little bit more premium. See the little guards? You have these little guards on the buttons here. I'm seeing that increasingly, and I really like it because you just subconsciously know that you're in the right button. These are funky switches, which means they rotate, they go up, down, left, right, and they click in. So you can basically you have a whole other dimension of doing stuff. So if you're doing things like iRacing, where you're going to be in your black box or the relative and swapping between it. That's really, really, really important. Again, it's got this very minimalistic style. I don't know if you can see both of these together, but for example, some differences to look out for when you're buying wheels. You can see here, this one has a rev bar, and also I think the ABS and TC light. So if you want that, you've got it. Here you don't, but you might have it on your wheelbase, or you might have a dash that has that separately, and also the material. So they might look on the face of it quite similar, these wheels, but they're actually quite different. This is also a D-shaped wheel. It's not a circular wheel, so different strokes here. Now we're going to go over to another active pedal, but this is the ultimate one. And you can see, I don't think the other one has it. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get both these at the same time, but I believe this is going to be the Pro. It doesn't have that orange. This has the orange. So stylistically, when you're looking, you can see the difference. Another difference is actually this one over the top, if I can rotate it, it has this sort of like a, I don't know what it's officially called, but it's basically like a viewing panel, which I absolutely love. I'm crazy about that. That is so cool to see the inner workings of the pedal. And this is the original Simucube active pedal. It's now called the Ultimate because we have a Pro version. And this goes up to 170 on the loader, which is insane. You can see now when the motor's not turned on, I probably shouldn't have done that. When the motor's not turned on, it obviously doesn't work. But when the motor's on, it uses a load cell to understand how much to push back and how much resistance to give you. And when you go in the software and you see how much you can fine tune it, it really, really, really is insane. The engineering, I feel like there's almost like an arrogance with the engineering. You see here the cutouts. You would assume, it's like an S maybe for Simucube, you would assume that gives less stability, but the fact that it's such precise equipment and they've done that is insane. But if I turn it over again, two things I want to show you. Firstly is that port there, and secondly is actually the face of the pedal, because this is a very expensive pedal, talking thousands of pounds, and this is the foot plate they've gone for with this kind of dimpling. Now, given that I spent so much time researching this and bringing it to market at an expensive price point, where you have real-world drivers who are buying this pedal, I really suspect they've done a lot of research into that, so that's interesting. I've seen other companies come out with dimpled pedal plates as well, when previously the meta has sort of been having a more sheen, a more flat one. I personally like the dimpled one. So these are the active pedals. I missed out another product here as well, which is the link hub. I'm not going to talk about too much. Basically, if you've got these pedals, you connect them into a link hub and link hub connects to your PC. So that's a bit of a nerdy one. You can see on the back of the pedal just how many ports there are. So you can basically daisy chain your pedals into one another, but it's not a simple pedal. Like I said earlier, definitely try and understand the generations when it comes to sim racing pedals. So I want to show you something else. Basically, if you're only going to buy one of these, buy it for the brake, because the brake is the most important thing when it comes to the feel and the load cell. You can also use it as a throttle. You do also get some benefits, like the motor, you can feel the car and everything like that, but I'd say mainly the brake. So what do you do for the throttle? You get a passive throttle. So this is a much cheaper, relative to these, throttle from Simucube with the same mounting. So we'll sit on the base plate I showed you earlier, and it's a much cheaper way to get that throttle. And this is your classic one with a spring. So this is a cost-efficient way. They could have been like, no, we're just going to make these to be compatible with more of these. So you have to buy active pedals if you want to have throttle and brake, but they didn't. They've done like that, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's go on to the last one in this world of Simucube. And this is, I'm very interested by this because I actually don't really know what's going on here, but it's Simucube X GSI. So you might think Simucube and GSI are sort of in competition in a way, because we've just seen wheels there and GSI do similar wheels. But obviously they're not, or they've collaborated, which is quite cool to see, and come up with this. Is it the best in GSI and Simucube? So if I turn it around, you can see these feel like GSI shifters with that sort of like recognizable GSI cutouts and making everything as light as possible. But it's got the Simucube logo on it. I suspect it may work wirelessly with the Simucube. I don't want to speak out of turn. In fact, this one may not because it has a USB hole, but that's a USB port, I should say. But it's a very, very, very nice looking wheel, very premium. Again, we have that ergonomics with the button placement very close to your thumb. Funky switches here, very nice funky switches, all recessed like I was saying. This is actually the evolution in a way of the wheels I've been talking about here and saying what I like. And also very chunky grips as well. Oh my goodness me, those are nice grips. There's just a little bit of play in them. Quite chunky as well. In fact, I want to hold this one. That is a very, very, very nice wheel. think I'm gonna have to try this one and give you some more in-depth thoughts on it. In fact, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna find out where this wheel is and try it. So that is the world of Simucube. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about Simucube. Have you had experience with their products or not? And I'll see you next time.